All right. Hello, 605 and 606. Tis your teacher, Ms. Reynolds. I just saw you guys about 30 minutes ago. So here we go. If you have your vocabulary trifold in front of you, this would be a good time to write down the definitions to your words for this week. So your first word is unsure. Unsure. Unsure is if you really aren't sure about something. So for example, if you are unsure about where to look for information, you are not certain where you should look. So I want you to think about for tomorrow, what is an antonym for unsure? All right, so next word, this is a big one. Okay, is circumstances. 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 Circumstances are conditions or events that exist with other things and may have an effect on them. Whoa, that was a mouthful. So with circumstances, you're thinking like if something really bad happened to somebody and like a series of bad things just kept happening to somebody. And it was like one thing led to another thing, which led to another thing. You might say that that person has some really unfortunate circumstances. So what I want you to do for tomorrow is think of some examples of how you could explain circumstances to your classmates. That one's a little bit hard to define. Your next word is consideration. Consideration. Consideration is careful thought. Very simple. So for example, his consideration or careful thought is needed before making a final decision. Okay? For tomorrow, I want you to think about why it might be important for you to carefully consider your actions before you do them. Okay, your next word is consults. Consults. Sometimes a friend consults with you to ask for advice. So consults simply means to ask for advice. I want you to think about for tomorrow, what are some things you might consult with somebody else on? Your next word is destiny. Destiny. Destiny is what happens, especially when it seems to be determined in advance. So again, your definition is what happens, especially when it seems to be determined in advance. So think about how in like all those fairy tales, how it's like, oh, it was her destiny to meet him. So it seems like it was kind of left up to fate, that these two characters, normally like the prince and the princess in a fairy tale, are destined to meet each other. That's what you're looking for when you hear the word destiny. So in our story for this week that we read, A Modern Cinderella, what would you consider was destiny within that story? Think about that one for tomorrow. Oh, we've heard this one 1,000 times. This word is expectations. Say it with me. Expectations. Expectations. When you have expectations, you believe or expect that certain things will happen. So your definition is believe or expect that certain things will happen. So very easy. What I want you to think about are what are some expectations that we have or we hold each other to in our classroom. All right, your next word is presents. 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 Not the presents that you open on Christmas morning or on your birthday. Presence is the area around or near a person. So where I'm sitting right now, where my kitchen's behind me, this is the presence around me. Does that make sense? So I want you to tell me, when you were watching this video, what was present around you? Let me know tomorrow. And your last word is reveal. 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 If you reveal the hidden object in your hand, you show or display it. Your definition for this is show or display. So think about in our story of Modern Cinderella, what were some things that were revealed within the story? And it doesn't have to be an object. It doesn't have to be I hide this marker and then I revealed it. It could be like showing or uncovering information that the reader maybe doesn't know. So those are your vocab words for this week. All right. Additionally, we talked about this a little bit today. I just want to hit on it one more time. Our genre for this week is fairy tale. In a fairy tale, you're often going to see keywords in there or phrases. So we talked about one today that most fairy tales start with. I bet you can guess what I'm about to say. Once upon a time. Most fairy tales are going to start with that. It might also end with happily ever after. Those are other keywords that are in there. They normally have characters such as princesses, princes, kings, queens. One of our students today talked about how there might be talking animals in there. So with all of these things combined, you can infer that these stories are made up. They're not real. And sometimes they have like a magical component to them. So this week, our big skill that we are focusing on is compare and contrast. So in a story, just like a Modern Cinderella, important events happen during the beginning, the middle, and the end. Comparing and contrasting these events can help you guys understand how a story develops and why those events occur in a particular order. So why did those things that happened at the beginning happen at the very start versus in the middle? So for instance, in the beginning of the story, the prince and Cinderella were dancing on the TV show, and then she lost her sneaker and he couldn't find her anymore. So why did the author put that event at the beginning of the story instead of in the middle or maybe at the end? Why are these things put in order? So point out, or you want to make sure that you're pointing out that comparing and contrasting is also a good way to keep track of what happened in the story. So we use this tool a lot, and I believe you're going to be using it tomorrow or Wednesday. Sure, you know I'm not very good at drawing, but I'm going to give it a shot. This is a Venn diagram. So what you do on each side and what you guys will be doing, we kind of did it today. So the first one in the big circles, you're going to talk about how it's different. And then in the middle, you're going to talk about how the two things are the same. So for me, for instance, on this side, I'm going to talk about what was different in a Modern Cinderella. So one thing that I could definitely put is that they had cell phones. In the old Cinderella, they did not have phones. But Cinderella lost a shoe in both. So you're going to practice comparing and contrasting these things. You can also compare and contrast what happens in the beginning versus what happens at the end, and similarities between the two. So those are your key skills for the week. If you have time in the next couple of days, I want you to reread A Modern Cinderella. Record what happens in the story, so write it down. And tell how the events at the beginning and the end are similar and different. Some of you guys might have started working on that today, but I want you all by the end of the week to be able to answer that question. So stay tuned. Hopefully later tonight, I will have a social studies video posted for you on economics and some of the things that we have talked about today. And I should hopefully have a co-star with me. If not, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Remember that your homework is due on Friday. And if you get your note cards filled out with your new vocab for social studies and the definition on the other side, bring them in, show them to me. I will give you 10 PBIS points. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow.